Alice Paul, jailed for freedom. What's her story? Alice Paul was born in New Jersey in 1885. As a young girl, she attended the Quaker Hicksite Friends School, where gender equality was a central tenet. In 1907, after she received her master's degree, she traveled to England to continue her studies. There, she became involved in the radical British suffrage movement. She was jailed for demonstrating and breaking a window. While in jail, she began a hunger strike, which resulted in forced feedings. She returned to the U.S. in 1910 to complete her Ph.D., and in 1912 she joined the National American Woman Suffrage Association. Alice Paul led the small congressional committee which focused on the passage of the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. In 1913, Alice Paul and Lucy Burns, along with others, formed the Congressional Union for Woman Suffrage, which evolved into the National Woman's Party. On January 10, 1917, exactly 39 years to the day after the Federal Woman Suffrage Amendment, written by Susan B. Anthony, was first introduced in the U.S. Congress, the National Woman's Party began picketing the White House. In October 1917, Alice Paul was arrested and jailed. On the eve of the 1917 election, she began a hunger strike in jail and was subsequently brutally force-fed. When the public learned of the cruel treatment of the jailed suffragists, there was a general outcry. Exactly 1 year after the White House picketing began, and 40 years after the amendment was first introduced to Congress, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the resolution on the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. However, it took almost another year and a half for the resolution to pass the U.S. Senate. During that time, Alice Paul continued the protests to pressure the U.S. government to give women the right to vote. The suffrage amendment was added to the U.S. Constitution in August 1920. In 1923, on the 75th anniversary of the first Women's Rights Convention in the U.S., Alice Paul proposed the Equal Rights Amendment. If you want to learn more about Alice Paul, we have a link for that